What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner. A little break from the content. I have my off time on weekends, but you guys have been waiting for the update to the ice shop build. I want to say first that the reason why I didn't release my build, uh, w- the reason why I released the build that I did release as a final build is because it was a realistic build for the time. The build was a goal that every player should be able to get to, even if they're a very casual player. And once you get to a place where your build is strong enough to do all content, then you're able to farm a bunch of currency. And if you like the build, then you can start reinvesting. So the purpose of this video is going to kind of introduce you to some of the ideas because there's so many different ways that you can branch that build off and at very different investments. This is going to have to be broken up into a series of videos. Otherwise, this would wind up being a really, really long video. It's going to be a long video anyways, because in this video, I'm going to go over uh, every gear slot and the tree changes that would come along with that. And if you're changing certain items, you're going to have to change multiple items and your tree in order for the build to still work. The thing is a build has to be balanced. It has to have enough defenses and enough damage to do all of the stuff that you want to do. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that we can take it in order to achieve this, and there's the cheaper way to get a really strong build, and then there's the crazy expensive I'm gonna invest 5 years into my build. Either way that you want to do it, I'm going to give you the options, and then I will follow this with a series of crafting videos for the different item slots. First of all, I'm going to show you how my build is running right now with a really big map. This is the I want to invest a shit ton into the build. 184% quantity map. Hey. Oh man, my mouse is still messed up. Earlier today, I was only on for a little bit, and then I'm creating a new build because this build's kind of gotten to a place where I don't really have much left to do to it. This is now my farming build, and it's going to be funding my other builds now. I wanted to do a lot of builds this season, but because I've been doing the YouTube, I just honestly haven't had as much time as I have had in other seasons. I kind of didn't really consider that. I need all the currency to make the builds, and then I also need the time to level them, and man, my mouse is jumping all over the place. I've been having an issue with it since this morning, and I don't know if I have like a dog hair. The bane of all the bane of all peripheral devices. I forgot to add Legion to this. That would have made it more fun. Jump away, dude. There he goes. Alright. Let's go kill a metamorph real quick. Got some regen on it. Got some regen on it, man. If I can hit it. Am I hitting you? Ah, there we go. Alright. Maybe I'm not. There we go. Might be shielding. No, it's hitting it now. Alright, let's run one more. I forgot to put Legion on it. That one was curse proof. So I'll actually be doing even more damage on this one, because that's some of my debuff. This one will run even faster. See me, my mouse ain't jumping all over the place. I'll do the fun way to kill the boss. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I'm not gonna have the stacks. Ooh, owie. If you get the Legion close to the boss, you can like basically insta kill him. Alright. It looked really impressive, but the loot doesn't look that impressive from that. Maybe there's some down here. Yeah. That war chest saved the loot. Made that profitable. Not a lot, but those stack decks were, I believe, a drop from my incubators. I will say though, this last patch, I'm like 99% sure they buffed the Legion drops, because I had done a lot of them before the patch, and since the patch I've seen so many bosses, it is ridiculous. And for several days. Okay, so my build has a lot invested into it. I'm going to talk about the main changes. Obviously, I was running my Headhunter. I also have a really expensive belt, which is better for all around. As you saw in the first map, you know, the Headhunter's not really a big factor. And like on that first map, honestly, if I was wearing my DPS belt, I would have more damage, because I have one DPS belt that's 100% elemental damage. So I would have 100% elemental damage all the time, which makes me a lot stronger for bossing in general, unless I can get to the boss with stacks. So as an all-around build, the getting a really nice belt is going to give you more value. The headhunter is a lot of fun, and if you're doing something like farming legion or timeless, it's going to help you out a lot. But it is, about 100 exalts. And then you got to divine it at 100x. Like I think I paid 97 for mine, and then a bunch of divines to get perfect rolls on the damage to perfect rolls on damage to rare monsters and the HP roll. Um, Other options for that is a Steigen Vice with a shit ton of elemental damage. I'll do a couple crafting videos on those. There are several ways to get them. Um, my best belt is I did a video kind of on making the base. This one is a mixture of defenses and damage. Obviously, I have 76% increased damage, and then I have 99 HP, perfect rolled tier 1 HP, perfect rolled tier 1 resistance, um, chaos damage, elder chaos resistance, and my my haha stat is 20 strength, which is another 10 HP, but so it's all good. I actually don't have my other DPS belt on this character because my new character is wearing it. Get excited for that one because it is a crafted. It is a crafted build that I made last season. Absolutely no one has done this build until I made it last season, and this season I'm perfecting it. It is already a beast. It is smashing stuff. It is tanky as fuck. I have used it in Delve, and my first death on the build was me killing myself with an unID'd tier 16 map that I didn't know had reflect on it because this is an all elemental build and I have some physical damage on that build and it hits really hard, so reflect, instant kill myself. Anyways, I'm going to talk about the two biggest investments that are going to cause the most issues for you. This is assuming that you are coming from the old build. What are those two things? The weapon is the first one. I'm going to make a little bit of space. Got lots. Just need enough space to put some items in here. Alright. Let's find my bow tab. Bow stuff. Alright. So, I put it on my other character. Alright, well, if you're coming from the Zodiac, the thing about the Zodiac is it is a massive, massive, massive defensive item. It is probably, I don't even think I have to say probably, it is the strongest single defensive item that you can put on a character in the game. And if you use it right, it is an absolutely massive, 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 massive defensive item. It gives you free Arctic armor, which is 13% damage reduction, and it chills enemies that attack you, which slows their attack reaction speed. That alone is big. On top of that, it overcaps your overcapped cold resistances, magnifies your evasion. I've shown it on other videos, so I'm not going to redo this video just to do that. But to give you an idea, on my build, when I wear the Zodiac, I have like over 10% increased evasion, and my evasion is not bad on this character. My evasion's 44%, and I believe it adds 11 or 12% to me just swapping it out. And the thing I'd like to point out on that is I have the percentage increased dexterity on this armor. So the only thing that is giving that massive increase to evasion is that overcapped cold resistance, and I don't have my cold resistance as overcapped as I could if I was using that all of the time. I do have a nice overcap though, I will say that. But to give you an idea, on my new character I'm wearing it, and that character has 56% evade chance, and that's huge. Like, and that's displayed. That's not effective. That is displayed. That is absolutely huge. Because what is the least damage you take from a hit? It's the one that doesn't hit you. And when on the first build, stacking evasion and damage reduction and dodge, you're super tanky. You learned the mechanics and you get enough HP to survive one hit, which we're stacking damage reduction through our cast when damage is taken and our immortal call, and then the Arctic armor. You wind up with a lot of damage reduction, like what, around 40, 43, 43, 44%, something like that, depending on what level your immortal call is. It can go even higher if you get a maxed out immortal call. That kind of depends on your stats though. Well, specifically the stats that pertain to that, which are the strength. Anyways, I haven't done that because on my build because I change gear a lot. So I can't depend on having a higher level immortal call. I could level up multiple, but I'm not going to do that. I'm too lazy to be swapping immortal calls every time I change out pieces. So you can go for a DPS chest, but you're going to be giving up a massive, 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 massive amount of defense. And even in a best case scenario, where you get something like my chest, which this is not a chest I can recommend to most people. I'm going to recommend a variation of it that's actually able to be gotten. I had really big goals. This is my fifth crafted chest trying to get this chest. I wanted percent life, at least tier 3 max life, which I really wanted tier 1, tier 2, but I knew I was going to have to settle on something because I knew I wasn't going to wind up with all tier 1s for these things. I wanted the percent increase max life, either um well, that one I could sway on a little bit. Crafted is actually better than tier 2 hunter or elder because you also get the up to 8% increased max mana, which having extra mana on this character is nice because we're using just mana and we're using hatred, um, Herald of Cold, the Ice Herald, and precision. Which obviously, if we can get our precision higher, we're going to have more crit rating and chance to hit. So we obviously, and you still have to have a nice buffer because you do shoot pretty fast, and until those arrows hit and start returning you mana, you also need the extra mana for being able to cast your damage when taken. Anyways, if you want to go to a crafted chest, this is an option to gain a lot of damage through the damage mechanic. Is the attacks have percent to critical strike chance. I got tier 2 on this. I did not want tier 2. In fact, tier 1% crit was one of the things I wanted the most. However, to get socket support gems, percent crit, high life roll, percent life, percent dexterity, and my bad exalt slam was the regen. But, I gotta settle somewhere. I'm not gonna try and create a chest passes. All of this stuff was stuff that I wanted. But to get all this stuff is so ridiculously hard that you could spend, 100, 200 exalts and never hit this. It's possible that you might be able to find one for sale reasonably because someone hits this and they don't know how valuable it is or how hard these mods are to get together, and they might sell it for a reasonable price. But I can tell you this much. There's a lot of people, a relative large number of people, and maybe there will be one of these items on the market. Possibly. I haven't seen one. So if you watch the market and you're that one lucky person, but realistically, this is not something to go for. If you want to get this, your only way to get this is to scour alchemy until you hit it, or to just chaos spam, which scours are really expensive right now, so you're literally spending a chaos in every single roll. And get ready to roll thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times and possibly never hit this. The realistic best way to go for this and what to go for, which you can craft for probably six to eight exalts. I would say guaranteed 8 exalts you can make this chest. would be starting with an Assassin's Garb base. This would be the cheapest version. Start with an Assassin's Garb base. You can buy the base of it for probably a couple chaos. The thing that's important is it has to be at least item level 84, because the main thing that we're going to be going for is we're going to be going for this tier 1 um, of the Elder mod. Why is it that this is what we want to go for? Because if you want damage, you want the stat that's going to give you the most damage. The other stuff on this chest is nice, but it is not going to give you damage. This is the most important stat. So the most important stats for you, if you want your chest to become a damage option, is tier 1% critical strike chance. Number 2 is going to be HP or percent HP. This chest is going to make a really nice one because I can now multi-mod this. And what is it that I can do? I can get the 3 most important things onto this chest. When I put the multi-mod on here, I'm going to go crafted multiple modifiers, and then I'll have 2 more spaces. So I will then be able to get my percent life, which is the equivalent, this one right here, which is equivalent to a tier 2 elder. It's actually better because I'm also going to get that percent mana. And then on top of that, I can go with the dual mod for quality, which is going to give me a percentage increase to my to the evasion rating, which is going to raise the evasion rating. And then once I have it exactly how I want it, I can do the beast corruption to give it another 10%. So then if I roll this well, it could have a 48% quality. So that will make this a nice chest. I haven't done that because I already have my chest. I'm done with that. Um, I might finish this one and then sell it, because my last chest was about what I just described, except for it was natural rolled, meaning I didn't multi-mod it, and that one I sold pretty fast. I put it on the market after I made um, this chest for the character, and I was done with that chest because, I finally hit what I wanted. So I put most of my other chests on the market for sale, which sold very fast, around 20 exalts. So crafting it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying it, because if mine sold fast at 20 exalts, that means it was nicer than any of the other ones that were on the market at that price. Maybe you'll be able to find one cheap. I always am going to suggest you search, see if you can find one. Why is that? Because this season there's a lot more people crafting, and someone might have crafted it and it might not be, they might not think it's worth that much, and they might put it up for sale and someone might not see it. So always, 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 if you're going to do an expensive craft, first look to see if you can buy exactly what you want, because you might get lucky. If you're like, I'm going to spend 8 exalts crafting this and I hope it's going to have these things, then if I can buy it for in that range guaranteed, then you should probably go for that. So, if you wind up switching this chest off, you're going to have to make changes somewhere to make yourself more defensive. And this is why I said this is one of the big upgrades that you're going to have to consider if this is really an option that you want to go. The thing is you're losing a ton of damage reduction and you're losing a ton of evasion. In my character's case, it's like 11 or 12% dodge chance, and then the Arctic armor, which just the physical damage reduction, which is the most important thing for us because we have our resistances capped, or you should have your resistances capped. So that damage is already being reduced. So the only reductions that we're really worried about is mainly physical damage. Like, yeah, chaos damage, we need those resistances decent because there are monsters that deal chaos damage, but in general, the most common damage types are the elemental and the physical. So you're going to have to offset losing that damage reduction. I have done that by getting myself a ton of HP. I have nearly 6,000 HP. With my expensive crafted belt, I have even more HP than this. So how is it that I was able to do this? So I had to drop some stuff so that I could come up here to get more HP nodes, which this is something I actually mentioned in the first video. If you're having trouble surviving and you need to get more HP, you can lose some damage nodes and you can go up here for the HP. Cross here, up here, get the HP. And I'll probably get another level. I'm close to leveling now. I'll get another level. I'll fill this in. I definitely won't take this character past level 96. So I might fill in these last 2 spots. But what is it that I gave up? I gave up this area, and I gave up these 4 points here. As we can see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 points here, and then I think when I made the video as a lower level, I had a few points here, so I may have lost something somewhere else also. I'm not sure what else I gave up, honestly. Honestly, I do not know what a few of the points are that I gave up. But I definitely know 4 points here, that's 8 points, and I gained a few levels. So I'm honestly not sure because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I may have gained 4 levels since the video. I'm not sure. That might have just been it. But why is it that I was able to give these up? What are the main things I'm losing? I'm losing cold damage, so I'm giving up some of the damage that I had gained to get resistances back. I'm giving up losing damage down here also. I'm also losing 10% chance to free shock and ignite. I'm also losing more penetration. I lost a total of 13% penetration. My penetration and my my cold debuffs are really good though. So I'm not missing out on much because I already have max level awakened gems. Um so and I'm using cold penetration. So I've got really good cold penetration as it is, and I have the frostbite, which you guys at this point should have the frostbite also. It is a net gain to damage, just adding the tier 1% crit. This is assuming that you don't have any other like really crazy expensive items, because we're going to talk about those as other options to changing your chest. So that would be the changes you would have to make if you do wind up going for the chest. I will go into like a full craft on the chest. I'll do a video on that. If you guys are not completely sure on that, wait for that. That shouldn't be too long of a video. It will be a crafting video, so part of it's luck. Um, the next thing is the bow. This is probably going to be the one thing that I'm not going to recommend to any player. Why is that? Let's talk about the Arborix. I said it before, this bow is absolutely insane. And it's crazy how much better this bow is than any other um than any of the other bows that are unique bows. And what makes it crazier is it's not popular, so it's not expensive. Even early season, first week I bought this for six exalts, which sounds like a lot, but early season that's really cheap for what is the best unique bow in my opinion in the game. And it's so good that your only option to upgrade to is to upgrade to a bow that is, even to get a damage increase, you need like a 550 plus DPS bow. And it has to have good attack mechanics for it to actually add damage. On top of that, this bow adds up to 100% increased evasion rating. On top of that, it also adds more damage than what it is that we're seeing. Mine is really, really nice. I will be honest. This is a 400 DPS bow before you take into account any of the stuff on it. I got really nice rolls on mine. It cost me a lot of divines. So for me to gain damage, I had to have an even nicer one. I have a 600 DPS perfect attack speed bow. The only upgrade from that is to get natural rolled a natural rolled bow, and probably when I do upgrade, if I do upgrade, it would be with the dual mod percent increased attack speed, which is going to be even more expensive. Anyways, on top of this bow having 400 DPS as it sits, ignoring everything else that's on it, we have to account that it rotates these things every 8 seconds. So we have 30% more damage with hits at close range. We can assume that this is going to be a 15% rotating attack if you use it more effectively. Like, it's on, I can tell my reflexes are on. I'm going to, get in there and get my 30% damage. So, if you know how to use the bow, that can be very effective. It also gives us 30% increased attack and cast speed, which we can assume this as, across the board a 15% increase. And then you have far shot, which is up to 30% at longer ranges. So it's a rotating thing. To use this bow really effectively, you have to pay attention to what it's doing. But like I said, it's already you know, I mean, technically you could hit a better roll on this. It would be near impossible, but you could get a perfect rolled one. So let's say around I've seen a lot of followers that have really nice ones like 395 to 400 DPS, and a 1% difference or something like that. I mean, stressing out over trying to make 1% on the bow difference is not really worth it. You want a really nice roll before you do your beastcraft corrupt, but realistically, I'm 1.25% DPS lower on my weapon. Yeah, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. Anyways, on top of this, this bow adds a lot of utility. Like I said, it gives the evasion. So I'm going to give you a demonstration just on what swapping weapons does. Defenses. So I have up my crafted bow, and then I'm just going to swap. So it adds 4% evasion just by having that bow on because of the buff to evasion. So that is pretty nice. On top of that, we have extra projectiles. Now this is the Arborix. I have more projectiles. And then obviously, if I am using the Dying Sun, now it's a even more massive attack spray. The thing is with the crafted bow, the only addition to projectiles that I had from the original one was the one from my tree, which trying to clear with 2 arrows is just not enough as a base. So for this build, you definitely are going to want to get an additional arrow if you're going to have a crafted bow. So now you not only need a bow, which, even now, the closest ones that I've seen to my bow, or better than my bow, like minimum price, like 160 exalts. And I check pretty frequently because eventually, like I said, I want, you know, essentially like a perfect version of what it is that I want. Um, but yeah, very very expensive. And if you guys don't know what to look for in bows, you guys probably want to go look at the video I released on, testing stuff on your character before you buy it so you don't make a big purchase and then be very disappointed. So switching to a crafted bow causes you to have to swap another piece. You could have a really nice quiver, which I had a really nice quiver, and then when I swapped to my crafted bow, I had to get a new really nice quiver. So if my only way to get a nice quiver is getting a crappy one with +1 projectiles, they have to be comparable to each other. Otherwise, what's happening? I'm losing so much. If I lose so much from my quivers bonuses, that it offsets the damage I've gained by my crafted bow, then and I've given up, damage in my tree to add HP if I've done the chest, and I'm now losing more evasion. You really have to think, can I afford a bow that is good enough that actually justifies these swaps? Am I actually going to wind up with a stronger build? And because the Arborix is so strong, in most players' case, unless you're like, I got 150 or I got 300 exalts I want to spend on a crafted bow, and then I want to spend 20 exalts on a quiver, that's realistically what an actual upgrade is on a crafted bow. That's some seasons you could get a bow in the range of my bow for 50 60 towards the end, but I haven't seen a single one this season. I don't think very many people are crafting that type of bow, and what does that mean? There's not those people that are getting lucky and don't know how good their roll is and then selling it. Most of the people that have those bows are like me. There's none on the market, and we crafted them for ourselves early season because we wanted a crafted bow. I wouldn't ever sell this bow. I keep stuff that I craft like that. And if I was going to sell it, I'm not going to sell it, turn around and sell it for less than what I've invested in it, which I'll tell you this much. It cost me about twice as much as my headhunter to make it. And when I made it, there was none on the market that I could have bought. So I'm honestly going to say 99% of players are probably going to want to stay with the Arborix. If you do have the currency to afford for the bow, you're probably going to want to do all the other upgrades first because, simply put, you're probably going to gain more from doing other upgrades than you will from swapping your bow. swapping the bow is probably going to just cause a lot of problems for you trying to craft it unless you can afford to just pay a mirror for a bow that's better, which if you can, then that will be an upgrade. I'm not going to lie and say you spend a mirror on a bow and you're not going to know any difference in your damage. But I would say if you're going to spend a mirror on a bow, make sure you get a thicket bow and make sure it is really nice. Probably like 600 700 DPS. That's probably the range that I would say to shoot for. Anyways, moving on from there, the taming is one thing that I'm not going to remove from this build at all. If you already have it, you got it buffed up, great, because it ain't going to get removed. It's just too strong. The up to 40% to all elemental resistances and 144% elemental damage through all of the mechanics added together. That is just really, really nice. So I'm not going to be changing it. The ring, we have the Frostbite ring. At this point in the league, almost all of my gear I probably am not going to be changing, besides a couple pieces. My helm, I'm still working on the helm for that. This one is just really, really nice. So honestly, I don't need an upgrade, but I am trying to get a tier 1 HP with shocking conflicts, with dual mod HP with dual mod HP, so I can have, close to 120 or more HP on my helm with having the shocking conflicts. This has been a bitch. It has been a biatch trying to craft this and get the things that I want on it. Um, so I'm not necessarily going to recommend trying to do this. If you can find one on the market and you don't already have like a super high HP roll, which why is it that I have to have really big HP rolls on my items? Like mine right now has 105 HP. Why is it that I absolutely have to have these really high HP items? Because I need a huge amount of HP pool because I don't have that damage reduction. Essentially, with just the damage reduction that I lost from the Zodiac, me at 6,000 HP is the same as me wearing the Zodiac and being at 5,000 HP. It's a big difference. So eventually I'll probably try for that. I mean, at this point, I honestly don't even know if I'm going to try for that. One of the major changes that I will be going for, and I honestly don't need it because I do have the crit chest. I have really good crit gear, so I'm at 93% crit chance. Um, but just for fun, because I like investing more into my build than I probably need, I'm going to be doing a dual craft Assassin's Bark Frostbite Ring. So this is going to be a highly luck roll, because this is the thing. To get it, it's going to be to make it. It's going to be pretty expensive because we're going to need one item base that we get the level 8 Frostbite on, and then one base with our Assassin's Mark. Then we're going to be adding the influence from one so that we have both on the same ring. The thing is we're going to hope that we either wind up with good rolls or we're going to hope that we're able to craft on suffixes cannot be changed. And then we're going to use a scouring orb, remove the prefixes, and hope that we had one open suffix so that then we can craft multi-mod and then EX slam it. That's kind of like the process that I'm going to be doing to make mine. The thing is I'm going to be losing, like nice cold damage probably. I've got what, 25 to 64 added cold damage, 9% freeze chance, accuracy, life. Um, so that's kind of going to be like a prayer item. You're going to probably have to settle, or you're going to wind up risking it, because if say you have all bad stats on the top and you don't have an open suffix to craft, suffixes cannot be changed, or say you have a 6 stat item, then you're going to have to risk annulment orbs. Like it's going to be it's going to be a pretty rough investment, so it will be an expensive craft. Or you're going to have to just be like, I don't care what else is on there, I just want the Assassin's Mark and the Frostbite and just be done with it. That's an option also, which then it's basically just the cost of the alts to make the two and then the orbs to put them together. that is a pretty cheap option to make the build super powerful without changing your chest. You could keep the Zodiac strength. You could create the double curse ring, and then instead of having snow forged on your amulet, you would take and craft on Whispers of Doom to have double curse. And why is it that we would do that? So we do the chest, and when we have a tier 1 crit, it gives us up to 1.5% chance to critical strike. The Assassin's Mark level 12 gives 2.1%, so it's actually stronger than the chest. And that's why I was saying, most likely I'm going to cover these first. I don't want you to think like, the only way that I can get, big damage is to go all super expensive crafts. It's not true. The thing is me actually creating a dual curse ring is going to add hardly no damage to my build. And why is that? Because I'm already at 93% crit chance. So when I add more critical to it, I will have an effective 100% crit. But how much have I really gained? I only have 7% left to gain in my critical strike chance. I have a huge critical strike multiplier. Where's my critical strike multiplier? Oh, 508% critical strike multiplier. So 7% of that is 35. Approximately 35. I mean, we got, what, 7% of, yeah, it's 35. So 35% off the base damage, not my total damage. So, honestly, if I don't wind up with good rolls on the ring, I could wind up losing effective damage, because that is quite a bit of number-to-number cold damage. I honestly don't know. I just want it because it'll be cool. But for someone that doesn't have a really high effective crit chance, it would give them a massive damage boost, because that 2.1% chance to crit is going to raise your crit chance. If assuming all of your other gear was the same, I have with this bow even more critical strike multiplier, because I have the well, I also have critical strike multiplier on this. So implicit and the quiver. That's another thing we forgot to account for. So if you have it like this, and I didn't have the chest, I had the Zodiac on, my crit chance would be much lower. My effective crit, however, if I swap the ring to the Assassin's Mark, my effective crit chance would actually go up. Why is that? Because what is it I have? I have the 0.95% crit chance, or let's assume I had the 1.5% perfect rolled. Adding 0.6% more chance would be a huge buff. So effectively, if you had the same gear as me, and instead of the chest you had the Zodiac on, and you had the dual curse ring, you would have a higher effective critical strike chance, which I believe with my build, if I removed the chest and added the Assassin's Mark, I think I'd be at 97 to 98% effective crit. With both, I'm at 100%. Which you need to check on POB to see what your effective crit is, because this thing's always wrong. This one says I'm at 60.5, which is not correct. So that would get you high enough that adding percentage crit is not really going to do anything for you. That's the reason why I wanted to go over everything at once, and then I'll do the craft videos for this. I want to do this craft, so I'll do it. I'll do a video on it. I'm not upset about spending the, I don't know, I'll probably spend like 10 exalts, 12, maybe 15. Hopefully not more than that. It could wind up costing me a lot more. It could be one of those that I go through the process and then decide to wipe it and craft it for 5 days. Um, so we're definitely be keeping the taming. You have the option to do a double curse ring. You'll then have to, adjust your build, because you'll be losing Snowforge if you go for the double curse with allocates Whispers of Doom. The other choice is you could go for a curse on your chest, but going for curse on your chest instead of percentage crit. If you could get both, that would be nice, but then you also need the HP, so that now you need 3 stats, which means you can't double influence slam it, and unless you're lucky, get that, which means you're probably going to either be going for 2 alts, then imprinting, and then hitting it with the Regal, and then wiping it until you hit a third really hard to hit stat, which once again, realistically, we're talking 100 plus exalts. Um, I mean, if you're lucky, maybe like I had a buddy craft something like that yesterday, and he spent like 35 exalts, but he hit it on his fifth try. Like, that's really, really lucky. Only 5 imprints to hit something good, and it wasn't even tier one, so you got to keep that in mind. Um, which and the stat that he was going for was not a 250 stat, so uh, double the rarity, he would have spent 70 exalts. So yeah, that's kind of investment something like that costs you realistically, unless you just get really, really lucky, which some people get really, really lucky, but a bunch of people are asking about this, and I guarantee there ain't going to be many people getting really, really lucky. That's the reason why I don't want to suggest something like that. So I'm suggesting realistic stuff. You guys can see what I have if you want to go for that, and I've told you, get ready to spend a shit ton, or hope that you get lucky searching on trade, then go for that. But understand you can spend 100 exalts and never hit 5 stats if you're being that picky. That's just a reality. It's RNG, and all of those stats are rare, and to hit them together you have to get lucky on every single roll. um Moving on from there. So we've covered both ring options. Gloves. At this point in my build, there is stuff that I don't like about these, but crafting really isn't an option for me because if you look at my resistances, oopsies, wrong. There we go. Okay, so with my actual weapon set, look at my resistances. I'm barely over on fire. I'm barely over on lightning. And I have big fire and lightning rolls. So my only upgrade option, this was my floater slot, along with this one. These are basically tying stuff in, so I have to get a lot of very specific things on these two items. These winded up being my floater items. That's what I suggested early for people to have as their floater items, which are basically the items that are your cheapest items that you change around to fill in the stats that you need. My floater items, I'm probably going to wind up buying what I need. Um, the reason for that is because it's so hard to get to roll exactly what you need, and you can't multi-mod on, you know, those high of resistances. So, uh, to get an item that isn't going to be worth hardly anything comparative to what it would probably cost me to craft it, I'm better off buying something. So I will do craft videos if you guys want to see craft videos. I did some on stream last week with the fossil crafting, and the helm. This helm, it's a great helm. I just wanted to do the new helm, and I've been saying it's a biatch to craft. So you probably just want to go for this. Which we had one guy that didn't have a ton of currency, and he wound up with a really nice one. And this helm is dope. Um, it's kind of like the go-to for the cold builds. Um, so that's a really good option if you want to spend a lot of time crafting or looking on the market to buy something. Then go for the shocking conflicts. It is better on damage, um, because it causes your cold damage to shock every for 3 seconds every 8 seconds, which shock lasts for 3 seconds. So there's only a 2 second effective downtime on your shock increased damage, which shock can increase damage that they take by up to 50%. So 75% of the time you can have 50% increased damage. That is going to be more than the -9 to cold resistances because we're already stacking in a lot of penetration and a lot of debuff. So these are my floater items. Cool options for I actually, dang, I just crafted. I wasn't thinking. I just crafted two toned double influence boots this morning. Uh, I craft a lot, and sometimes I forget to hit record. I guess I will have to do another pair for these. They probably won't wind up being an item that I keep, honestly, because I need really specific stuff. These do kind of suck for the quality gear that's in my build. The increased rarity is just kind of, and I don't want tier 3 life. So, yeah, I will probably try to craft something and I'll see what I get and then maybe make this be my buy item. Cuz if I wind up getting better resistance rolls on this one, it might give me a little bit of working room on my last item. Cuz that's what you do. Start off with like 3 floaters, then work it down to 2, and then finish one of those, and then you're probably going to have to buy the last one cuz it's going to be really specific what you need. And that's how you work a build and make it stronger and stronger. That's pretty much all the item slots. Um, oh, the belt. So I'm gonna do a few different crafting videos on this because I did once again on this last Friday stream. I showed crafting. Um, this one's not. This is yeah, this one's not a bad one. I think this is one that I was just selling cheap. Someone could influence slam this. I don't want to take it because I don't actually need the belt. But this is basically a damage choice slot. If you get a really good roll on this, you can get over 100% elemental damage, which is pretty crazy. Um, this one's just a triple resistance one I'm selling. That wasn't crafted with. I don't know what happened to my other one. I might have sold it. It was like 10, 12 exalts. It was a lot nicer. It was almost 100% or maybe 100% elemental damage, but I'll do a video on crafting those. You can definitely make it a lot cheaper than a headhunter, and it will provide more to your build. I do have another one. I did the influence one, but I already made a video on that. I don't think I did the actual craft because it took me so long. But another choice is to go for something like this. I did this natural rolled. That's how I wound up with, so many stats being good. A lot of people were like, "You ruined that item by not going for 2 stats." I'm like, I don't want a 2-stat item. So if you're happy with only having 2 stats and a bunch of random shit on it, then doing a double influence slam like that is, good. But realistically, you're never going to, I mean, not never. There is going to be that one time that you're going to wind up with all good stats on an item. But realistically, this is going to take a shit ton of chaos spamming or scour all using scours and then alchemies, which right now scours are super expensive, so it's basically the same price for me to just spam chaos on it, which is how I made my boots this morning. Um, because why am I going to spend time buying stuff if it costs point seven chaos per scour, and then alchemies are 0.25. I'm spending 0.95 and I have to do extra trading. F that ish, man. I ain't doing that shit. I'm just gonna use the chaos. Not worthwhile. Um, but I'll do some crafting videos. I'm not gonna craft another one of these because I spent a shit ton making this one, and I'm completely happy with that one. But I will do crafting videos on some fossil ways that we can do it, and I will give. I mean, this is pretty simple. You add the 2 influences for stuff that you want, and then you just roll a lot until you got everything you want. There, there ain't much to it other than that. It's picking the right influences so you give yourself the best chance of winding up with, stats that you want. Anyways, I think this pretty much covers most of it. Other than that, everything else was covered as far as Watcher's Eye, Brutal Restraint. I've done a video on rolling Timeless Jewels. The Lionized Fall and its placement and why we put it there was covered in the previous videos. I'm only using four jewel slots. As far as my last jewel, crit chance with elemental skills, crit multiplier, percent max life, double resistances to fix my resistances. Um, that's pretty much it. That's all the changes. Look forward to the crafting videos. If there was something that I didn't cover that you would like to hear, see, or for me to touch on more, let me know, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Thanks for watching. Peace.